Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, your video is off. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining today's daily call. So today Guru Maharaj will continue with the series, Divinity and Divine Services. I'll start recording, Guru Maharaj. Sorry.
Verse number 20.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. I'll just click on the recording. Yes. So it's from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 20. I'll share the verse.
Yeah.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I'll turn it
Namo
over to you. Hare
Bhagavate
Krishna.
Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Evam Prasanam Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate. So this is the fourth verse in the series of verses that describe the progress of devotional service within the step-by-step process. So we're getting to the final two verses of this presentation. And so here, those of you who have been coming every day, you can connect with the series. Those of you who haven't, this is a culmination of the previous four verses. Translation: those established in the mode of unalloyed goodness The man whose mind has been enlightened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So here in this translation, after purifying themselves through the process of hearing and chanting, serving the pure devotee of the Lord in the mood of complete allegiance to his instructions, and gradually one comes to the stage of unalloyed goodness or pure goodness. And what is the result? The mind becomes enlivened by devotional service. In other words, one starts to feel really inspired from within to serve, to hear, to chant, to worship. One becomes enthusiastic naturally simply by following this process. Bring the verse back. Mhm. Hare Krishna, Sudha, where are you?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Sorry, Guru.
Yes, somebody bring the verse back. It disappeared.
Yeah, it got disconnected. Very sorry. Let me share this verse again. It's a little bit unstable. Not sure why. And yes, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, and then we were explaining how through this process that one gradually reaches the stage of enthusiasm, enlivened by contact with the mode of goodness. And here, very important statement, one gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So this, you note this point here, positive scientific knowledge. This process of devotional service is a science. And that is not simply a word, it is actually a principle that is the essence of this process. It is understood through scientific process how one goes to the different stages in bhakti and ultimately comes to the stage of pure devotional service, free from all material contamination. So science means something that is exact, something that is fixed, something that is not changeable. Therefore, we have to understand that in order to get the benefit of this process, one has to know the science or has to know how to follow the science. And so we have the scriptures. The scriptures very carefully explain what is scientific knowledge. And therefore, one has to hear regularly from the pure devotee of the Lord and execute accordingly. Srimati, can you take over the
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
the hosting, because I don't think she can do it.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Guru.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And so this word science is very important to understand because something is scientific. It's true in all cases, in all circumstances, in all places. For instance, we talk about the science of math. Now, math is a very exact thing. It's very scientific. For instance, 1 and 1, or we might say 2 and 2 is 4. Now 2 and 2 is 4 everywhere in the world, not just in America or in India or in Russia. 2 and 2 is 4 everywhere. The science of math works. No one will argue with that. No matter what language you speak, no matter what culture you're from, no matter what location you're living in, 2 and 2 is 4. It's a science. So in the
Sorry,
same
Guru
way,
Guru Maharaj, sorry. I think this internet is acting weirdly. Again, Sudha Mataji became host. Sometimes it's jumping from her laptop to my laptop. Suddenly the screen share stopped, Guru Maharaj. So I don't know why it's happening.
is it happening to in India too, where you are?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, yeah. Suddenly I became host, and again now suddenly Sudha Mataji became host. I don't know why it's happening weirdly. I'm unable to share now.
Yeah.
Mataji, can you make co-host otherwise?
Mataji, I'm just trying to share again. Sorry, I don't know, some reason even
Make
my...
me co-host to Mataji, so that it will be one more option where
Okay.
something happens. Yeah. Sorry, Guru Maharaj, for that.
Okay. Anyway, back to the point that I'm making. I hope the devotees can hear. I don't know if anybody lost the connection and didn't hear what I actually said, but basically what I'm saying is that Krishna consciousness is a process that is organized in a certain way, and there's no variables in it. Yeah, so it's a science, just like the science of mathematics works everywhere in the world the same way. It doesn't matter where you live, who you are, or what is your background. 2 and 2 is 4. You can't say, well, 2 and 2 is 5, and say, well, that's my opinion of mathematics. No, then you're wrong. Same with Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is a science. The science works accordingly. And what is that science? Is the instructions of the spiritual master applied to the activities of devotional service with the mood of pleasing Krishna. So if you have those 3 ingredients in the activity, then you are in the scientific process. Yeah. So that's how it works. So when one has to understand. Now, sometimes people get very sentimental and want to create their own idea of what is religion or what is spirituality. And we hear that people from around the world, especially coming from India, who are self-styled gurus, say, well, I can teach you the science of spirituality. You can give me some money. And in so many lessons, or even one day, you can be fully, spiritualized. This is not possible because the science doesn't work like that. So therefore, they're not scientific. They're simply creating their own ideas. So just like if you're sitting at home and you think, well, I'll change the laws of the state and I'll make my own laws and then I'll follow those laws, the ones I make. No, if you deviate from the laws of the state, then you are a criminal and you're subject to punishment or fines. So in the same way, this process of bhakti yoga works in such a way as to clarify all misgivings by giving the clear understanding of what is. That's why Bhagavatam says, Dharma projito kaitaro paramar nimatsaranam satam. This is the second verse in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first chapter, where it explains that Dharma is projito, is kicked out, kaitaro, cheating. Any religious forms of cheating that goes on in the name of spirituality, religion, is not accepted by Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam gives the real religious principle. And what is that? Savai pum samparo dharmo, yato bhakti ahok sajaya hoitu kiya priyata, yayatma suprasidati. Which means that really one engages in devotional service. One has to engage continuously without any personal desire for gain, either through philosophical speculation or through fruitive activities. In other words, through karma and jnana, When one applies karma and gyan within the process of bhakti, one is motivated by a particular desire, and therefore that is not pure devotional service. For pure devotional service is explained here that when one, practices the process as given by the previous verses that we meant, one comes to the stage of unalloyed goodness. In that unalloyed goodness, one is situated on the spiritual platform, and then everything becomes clear. Just like if you're standing in a fog and you're trying to see something in front of you, you may not even be able to see someone who is standing maybe a couple yards in front of you because of the fog. So you might try to think of ways to bring about a vision, but your attempts will not be perfect or even complete. But if the sun comes out, the sun will immediately dissipate the fog and all one's vision is clear again. So the light of transcendental knowledge, when applied to the process of devotional service, which is given to us by both Guru, Krishna, and the previous acharyas, these three personalities or categories of people, our present spiritual master, the founder acharya, in this case, Srila Prabhupada, the disciplic succession coming from Krishna and Krishna himself, all are the source of knowledge, and none of them are contradictory, although they present the same knowledge according to time, place, and circumstance. So therefore, one has to understand that this process is very exact, and one cannot simply create it, redefine it, readjust it, or make it the way they want it to be. So here in the Bhagavad Gita, you'll find in the second chapter, it explains that knowledge without religion is mental speculation. In other words, so much knowledge, but no direction for the knowledge. And religion without knowledge is sentiment. And as we find, a lot of people are very sentimental or very whimsical about how to execute devotional service. But therefore, here it says that when one practices those four verses that we mentioned, 16, 17, 18, and 19, one comes this stage here, one knows scientifically clear what is the personality of Godhead, without a doubt, asamsaya, asamagra, guru. Without any doubt, one knows the process, and one is situated on the platform of liberation from all material contamination. So here, now we'll go into the purport. In Bhagavad Gita 7:3, it is said that many thousands of ordinary persons, men, one fortunate man endeavors for perfection of life. Mostly men are conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance. This is the state of affairs in this world presently. And thus they engage, can't see the next word, thus they engage always in lust.
Hare Krishna, sorry Gurumash, due to this connection, I lost track.
Just bring it down to where it was, and that's all. In lust, you're too high. I can't see the words that I'm reading. You're too far down.
Mataji, it's the first paragraph, Mataji. Guru Maharaj is in the beginning only.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. Mostly men are conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance. Thus they engage always in lust, desire, hankering, ignorance, and sleep. So these are the effects: lust and desire, hankering, these are the modes of passion, ignorance and sleep, modes like ignorance. Out of such many, such man-like animals, now Prabhupada gets right to the point. Man-like animals. When Prabhupada was speaking about this verse, he says, yes, an animal has 4 legs, but the man-like animals in this society who are considered to be men, but they're more like animals. They have the two of their legs have been transferred into two hands. That's the only difference. But because they have no culture and they act in simply out of selfishness or ignorance, they are more like an animal. There is actually a man who knows the responsibility of human life and thus tries to make life perfect by following the prescribed duties. So this is in reference to the verse 7.3. And many people try for perfection in life. Very few actually reach it. And hardly one, Krishna says, knows me in truth. Yeah. In the same Bhagavad Gita, 1855, it also says that scientific knowledge of Krishna is understood only, again, the word scientific is presented here. You have to make that note that this knowledge is not some mental speculation or somebody's creation. It is scientific. It is coming from the supreme scientist, that is Krishna himself. And it's understood only through the process of devotional service, as we made that point, that knowledge without religion is simply speculation, and religion without knowledge is simply sentiment or fanaticism. We see there are many people who claim to be religious, and they speak in a way that has no bearing on the real knowledge of religion. They down other people's culture in the name of religion, or other people's bodily designations in the name of religion, or marginalize spirituality for a small group of people. So that is not, so here again, scientific knowledge. The very same thing is confirmed here in the above words. No ordinary man, or even one who has attained success in human life, can know scientifically or perfectly, those words are almost synonymous, the personality of Godhead. No ordinary person. Prabhupada said it's very difficult to know Krishna. It's not so easy. And very few can actually attain to that stage of knowing Krishna, not perfectly, but enough for perfection of one's own spiritual. In other words, one can reach perfection even if they don't know Krishna completely, but they can know it to a certain level of perfection. So Krishna is very difficult to know. Perfection of human life is understood when one can understand that he is not the product of matter, but is in fact spirit. We hear that all the time. We have a body, but we are not the body. We're in the body. The body is what carries us from place to place by the direction of spirit, which is situated within the body. When the body leaves, we continue to go somewhere else. We are not the body. As soon as one understands that he has nothing to do with matter, nothing, he at once ceases his material hankins and becomes enlivened as a spiritual being. This attainment of success is possible, here's the point, when one is above the modes of passion and ignorance. So one has to climb out of these lower modes and come to the stage of goodness. In other words, one has to actually be Brahmanically qualified. A Brahman is a symbol of Satyagun, or the mode of goodness. And others who are not in the mode of goodness, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, or less than Sudras. The Brahminical stage is the highest stage of human life because of its good qualities. So we read in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita, also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, what are both the duties of a Brahmana and what are the qualities of a Brahmana. Not just duties, but qualities also. Qualities is sama, dhamma, titiksha, arjavam, jnana, vijnanam, astakam, brahma, karma, sabhavajam. In other words, one should be peaceful, simple, cleanly, clean, truthful, tolerant, know the scriptures, can speak the scriptures, understands the purpose of spiritual activity, knows the goal of spiritual activity. So one cannot be a devotee unless one at least qualifies as a Brahmin. So Brahminical stage is lower than Vaishnava or devotee, but one has to come to the stage of goodness or Brahminical stage, and by that action, one is fixed. But that is not the end of it, Prabhupada says. Such a Brahmin has to become a Vaishnava and to be actually engaged in the transcendental stage of devotional service. So it's not, sometimes you say, it's like one time one devotee was in India and, he was dressed as a devotee. One person in India saw him and said, "Oh, okay, well, I bless you that in your next life, you will become a Brahmana." So the young man came back and told Prabhupada, Prabhupada laughed, he said, "Yes, yeah, a crow is blessing a cow." So how can a crow bless a cow? And obviously, the cow is in a better position. So in the same way, a Vaishnava is above Brahmanas, but sometimes the Brahmanas think that they're the highest in the material conception, but the material conception is subordinate and what we say, ephemeral to the spiritual conception, which is the stage of transcendental activity or devotional service. Here, Prabhupada wants to go on. He wants to give a lot of information on Brahminical understanding. Even in the material stage of, even as a Brahmin, one is also conditioned because although in a Brahminical stage, the conception of Brahman or transcendental is realized, scientific of the knowledge of the Lord is lacking. So that process of devotional service. One has to surpass the Brahminical stage and reach the Vasudeva stage, or the stage of goodness, pure goodness. And that way one can understand the subject matter of the personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada said, the science of personality of Godhead is the subject matter for study by postgraduate students in spiritual life. Foolish persons or men with a pure file of knowledge do not understand the Supreme Lord, and they interpret Krishna according to their respective whims. The fact is, however, that one cannot understand the science of God unless one is free from the contamination of the material modes, even up to the stage of goodness. When a qualified Brahmin actually becomes a Vaishnava, in the enlivened stage of liberation, he can know what is actually the personality of God. So one has to come from the lower modes to the mode of goodness and then transcend the mode of goodness to reach Vasudha Sattva, or the Vasudeva platform, the platform of devotional service. And the knowledge and the activities of devotional service make up what is called the science of bhakti. Bhakti is a science. It's not something sentimental, whimsical, created. It is coming from Krishna himself. Krishna says, "I am the author of this knowledge." Knowledge comes from him. He is the source of the knowledge, and he is the source of that knowledge which gives the process by which to reach him in pure devotional service, which is Sudasattva, or pure devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, let's move it along fast because time is short on my
Okay.
side. Yeah, just get right to the point.
Sure, Guru Maharaj. Thank you. Thank you so much for this beautiful class on
Yeah,
the
I have to finish by 2 o'clock today, no later.
Maharaj.
Or 1 o'clock.
Sure, Gururaj, and sorry about this internet instability today. Thank you so much again for this beautiful class on pure devotional service. I really like the point, like knowledge without religion is mental speculation, and religion without knowledge is like a sentiment. Yeah, thank you so much again. Dear devotees, any questions, clarifications, please, comments, yeah, please go ahead. You can unmute or you can type in the chat box. And also, I would like humbly request, if possible, please turn on your cameras. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Oh, Hare Krishna. Sorry, it's on mute. Hare Krishna, dear Gurudeva, please accept my humble obeisances. I see that reading and understanding the scriptures is always coming up as essential. Is that right? Your servant Rishabh Das.
What is essential?
Reading and understanding the scriptures is always coming up as essential. Is that right?
Yeah, this is a science. If you don't know the science, how are you going to? You have to at least hear regularly. That is required. So if you're hearing every day the message of the process of bhakti and the knowledge of Krishna, then you're getting that essential knowledge. But then again, one has to learn how to apply it. And there's where the guru comes in and teaches that. But the point is, yeah, it is essential. Why did Prabhupada put like 100 books in print? What's the sake? For decorating our rooms to make it look nice? There's a beautiful color series of books with different kinds of colors. No, these books are meant to be read. And Prabhupada admonished us. He said, you're distributing books, but you're not reading. Read the books. We go to school, we have to read books. Otherwise, how will we know the subject matter? We hear from the teacher, that's good, but reading books is also part of the course. In the same way, the course of bhakti means, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Rishabh Das Prabhuji, do you have any further clarifications on this question? Thank you, Prabhuji said thank you. Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Siddha. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to your divine lotus feet. This particular sentence, Guru Maharaj, is a little bit problematic for me to understand. So one cannot be a devotee unless one at least qualifies as a Brahmana. But we have all kinds of devotees, not all are Brahmanas. Some are Vaishyas, some are Shudras, some are Kshatriyas, and so on. Not all can qualify for Brahmana. So how can we say that everyone must be Brahmana to be devotee?
Okay, good question. The whole process of devotional service is above the mode of goodness. It's Suddha Sattva. Therefore, a Vaishnava, even if they're engaged in activities that are managing or fighting, which is both duties of the Kshatriya, or agriculture, cow protection, banking, commerce, that's activities of devices, or doing any activity in the temple, cleaning the pots or washing the floor, driving the devotees from place to place. All of these activities are not within the three modes of material nature. But Prabhupada's point is not so much Brahmana, which he's saying, but he's saying Brahminical qualities. So Brahminical qualities are conducive to devotional service. So gradually raise ourselves to the platform of not so much the activity of the Brahmana, but the qualities of the Brahmana. But the activities of the Brahmana, which are patam, patan, yaja, nyaja, dana, particular, apply to Vaishnavas also, even though they may be engaged in activities that are indicative or indicative of the other varnas, such as organizing things, such as defending things, such as doing construction work. All of these activities are not material. Why? Because, and they don't fall within the category of the four varnas, they fall in the category of devotional service, because Krishna is the goal of the activity. That's the difference between Brahman and Vaishnava. The Vaishnava is above the Brahmanas. The Brahmana can't even save himself. There's that famous debate between Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and some of the prominent Brahmanas at his time, where he very carefully explained how important it is for one to develop Brahminical qualities. And he glorified the Brahmins as being the highest, but that's the highest from the material perspective. Therefore, what is that verse? Palinda, what's that verse? Trying to think of the first word. Hare Krishna.
Kirata Pulinda.
Yeah, that's it. Kirata Hunam Palinda Pukasa Ambira Sambhava Sadaya Yene Chapapa Upasrayasraya Sudanti Prabhabe Vishnave Namaha. That even if people who are part of these lower races, Kirata Hunam Palinda Pukasa Ambira Sambhav Kashyada, all of these races fall below the Varnashram system. They don't qualify for either Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra. But even if they take the devotional service, then they're better than the Brahmana.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, have any further questions, clarifications on that? Hare Krishna.
No, thank you so much, Sudha.
Yeah.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Is it clear? Is that point clear now?
I think so. I think so, Guru Maharaj. I'll recording again though.
Yeah, it's the activity of devotional service is transcendental. It's not part of this material world. And those who engage in devotional service are performing activities on the liberated platform, not on the platform of Brahman, Vaishya, Sudra, or any of the material designations.
Thank you. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Even I had that question while you were reading that last paragraph. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
please stop saying thank you.
Okay, Guru Maharaj. Sure.
Just move the whole process along by inspiring people to ask questions and keep things moving. It's not about, you're not in church right now worshiping.
Sure.
Yeah. just push it along, that's all.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Srimati
forget all about this nice etiquette, it doesn't fit here.
Sure, sure, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, yeah. Srimati Mataji, I see her hand raised. Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna and Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Guru Maharaj, even I was having the same doubt as how Sridevi Mataji was asking. Like anybody can do the devotional service, because I hear some stories like we hear a story like where a cobbler is eligible to go back to Godhead in a particular lifetime when compared to a Brahmana. So because of his strong faith in the Lord, so that's what even I was thinking, like, do we really need to have Brahmanical qualities to go back to
Well,
Godhead?
there's an advantage of having that,
Yeah.
because devotional service is executed in that mood of Brahminical qualities. But if a Brahmana doesn't come to the platform of engaging in devotional service, he's still in the material world. But if one who doesn't have those Brahminical qualities comes to devotional service, learns the process, and develops those qualities through execution of devotional service, then they're situated above the four varnas.
Yeah, it's like directly taking a jump. Like suppose even if he's born in Shudra family, so
Right.
if he's good enough and he is taking up devotional service, then he's jumping over all these varnas and directly going into the pure goodness stage and
Exactly.
going into the devotional.
Well, you have to understand that those who come to Krishna consciousness, whoever are somewhat in the mode of goodness, they have an advantage for making fast advancement.
Mm.
They're a little bit ahead with the material qualities which are supportive of devotional service, where others may have to struggle harder to get to that stage. So there is advantages. That's why Prabhupada said when I came to America, I was looking for first-class men, and I didn't find any, which he meant Brahminically inclined people. And he said, I didn't find any first class, I didn't find any second class, all third and fourth class. So that's what Krishna sent me. But Prabhupada said he changed people who are, even below the Varnashram system into Vaishnavas.
Mm.
And that was Prabhupada's, magic, the spiritual potency. He had that, that purity that he could take people from such a low state and bring into devotional service. And Prabhupada was actually criticized for preaching in the West because, those who are coming from the Vedic culture, they basically said that Westerners forget it, they're not qualified. They're too much in the modes of passion and ignorance. But Prabhupada showed, based on scriptural statements, that it's possible, but it requires training.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. In my recent trip to Mayapur, after visiting TOVP, the new construction temple, so even I realized that what a powerful vision Srila Prabhupada had, and how it is going to be successful soon. So what a big community is there in Mayapur, and how they are all striving towards the building of TOVP. And it was so amazing to see TOVP building. Wherever you go in Mayapur, you can see that building, you can see the temple. So it was so amazing, Guru Maharaj. It was very nice experience we had.
Wonderful, wonderful. Did you go inside?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, one of the Prabhu, he took us inside. He showed us Srila Prabhupada Murti also. And we had a nice special tour in the TOVP, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, that's very. Did you go all the way to the top?
No, Guru Maharaj, no. But from outside we saw. But inside, the first floor, Pujari floor, where Srila Prabhupada Murti was there, the new one. So we went at that point.
Yeah, we're moving along. Hopefully, of course, we have our deadlines, but things are always stalled in India because of money and because of labor. But anyway, we're pushing it.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, it was wonderful. We had such a nice trip and nice time with Sri Devi Mataji, and I met Tirthakirti Mataji and Mana Mataji. So all God family. So we met and we had such a nice time together.
Johnny, you met Mother Mana too, huh?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, yeah, and her family, her husband and small kid. So.
Oh, nice, very nice. Yes, she's pretty amazing, Mana. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari, thank you for having that nice experience. Share with everybody you meet.
Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, for sharing that. That's nice. Yeah. Hare Krishna devotees, any more questions, clarifications or realizations like to share? I think devotees are thinking. So Guru Maharaj, I have a question, not a question, just for the clarification about Vaishnava and Brahmana. I mean, so nicely explained. I just want to understand, like, so Brahmana means it's like more in mode of goodness, but when you go above goodness, that is Shuddha Tattva, is like a Vaishnava. So Vaishnava, he dovetails every activity to Krishna. Is Guru Maharaj?
Vaishnava means one who serves Vishnu. Yeah.
Vishnu. Okay. So
Vishnu
all.
or Krishna. Yeah. Vaishnava is on the platform of service, where Brahmins on the platform of maybe just worshiping and developing certain characteristics, qualities. A Brahmana sometimes also makes a living.
Mm.
But a Vaishnava is simply engaged in devotional service. But the Brahminical qualities are conducive to the execution of devotional service. That's the point that's being made here. Not the qualities of the modes of passion and ignorance are not conducive to execution of devotional service.
Okay. So as a sadhakas, at least we have to come to the level of goodness, then we can go above goodness.
Yeah. Those qualities that are conducive to the mode of goodness, the characteristics of the mode of goodness.
Okay. So Guru Maharaj, like while sadhakas, we are practicing devotional service, we are serving, we are engaging in temple services. So is that like we are still like, even though we are mixed feelings, but still we are engaged in those services. So when it's still considered Shuddhata when we are engaging in those services, is it considered pure?
It's considered bhakti, but by the mercy of the spiritual master, you can offer those services to the Lord. Without the connection to the spiritual master, Krishna doesn't accept anything we do, because unless we are on the transcendental platform. So the mercy of the spiritual master allows for us to execute our devotional service, although it's mixed. It has to be, devotional service has to be free from karma and gyan to be actually satisfying both to the self and offerable to Krishna. But Krishna makes the concession of accepting our service through the representative of the spiritual master.
Yes. Through Guru's
That's why when we offer our food, we always have a picture of Prabhupada. When we do puja on the altar, we always have a picture of Srila Prabhupada or our spiritual master. And the spiritual master is present in all forms of worship. We can't worship Krishna directly. Krishna doesn't accept that.
Yes, Guru. Yeah. Thank you for that, Guru Maharaj. So the Gurus only we can, at least, even though we have mixed feelings, through mercy of Guru, we are able to engage in pure devotional service.
Yeah, as long as you follow his instructions. Yeah.
Mm. Yes, Guru Maharaj. We are
Not create your own ideas.
yes, Guru Maharaj. We are trying. We are trying. We'll definitely be there. Your mercy. Yeah. Yeah, devotees, thank you for that. Devotees, any further questions? It's a very nice topic. I would encourage any questions or even realizations. Please feel free. You can unmute, you can share. The devotees thinking. Yeah. So Guru Maharaj, the previous verse, if it's okay if I can ask, I was just reading this and just wanted to just further clarify with you.
Yeah.
This is like unalloyed, like verse 19, unalloyed activity of the soul. Devotional service is not inactivity, but the unalloyed activity of the soul. So, I mean, I'm just, could you please little bit comment on this? I think I'm sure you explained it, but just wanted to clarify further.
Yeah, activity is there. Activity in the material world is there. And in the spiritual world, activity is there. It's not inactivity. Spiritual life is not inactivity, it's active. Because the soul by nature is active.
Mm. Okay. So unalloyed activity of the soul means it's like a
Free from personal motivation.
okay. Okay, good.
Yeah. Just like there's a statement, unalloyed steel. So you'll see sometimes they advertise steel, they call it unalloyed steel. That means there's no other metal in there except steel. It's not mixed.
Next. It's completely pure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the nature of the soul. The soul has unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Lord. But the mind takes that mood of the soul and recreates it based on its own interests, and therefore becomes mixed with personal gain. Personal gain means material. People take up spirituality, spiritual life, in order to achieve something material. That's fashionable. That's, you'll find most people, very few people take up spiritual life in the mood of understanding that the process of spiritual life is to please the Supreme Personality of God. Most people are looking for some material gain. That's the way of the world. That's why bhakti is rare. It's not very easy to get bhakti. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made it easier through the process of chanting the holy names of the Lord. He's made that difficult process doable by the people in the age of Kali who are so disqualified. In this age, no one's qualified to execute devotional service. It's too far beyond everyone's qualifications. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us the formula. Chant Hare Krishna.
Thanks very much. Yes, definitely. We are trying. We are trying. Definitely, I'm very disqualified, but we are trying through Guru's mercy, yeah, to please Krishna.
Okay.
Guru Maharaj, it's 1 hour. I mean, just less than 1
You're
hour.
in charge, not me.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I just wanted to share that. It's 1 hour, less than 1 hour. So since devotees, any last minute questions for Guru Maharaj before we close the call? Okay, I'll just pause like 10 more seconds and we can. Okay, Guru Maharaj, I don't see any questions. Thank you so much again for such a beautiful class. It's really very enlightening and we have to learn. It's a long way, all your mercy. Yeah, thank you so much again.
And the next verse is the conclusion of this series of verses, verse number 21. So that'll finish up this whole series of verses with the ultimate, in other words, the goal is given in the next verse.
Okay.
Although it's given in each of the verses, but in the next verse, it summarizes everything and puts it into the final clear statement.
Sure, Maharaj. We'll read these verses over and over again. Yeah, definitely when we read just by ourselves, I mean, we couldn't really understand, but when we hear from you, I mean, so much essence is there, so much nectar is there in those verses to learn. Yeah, that's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we can go online. Prabhupada's spoken on these verses too. You just go onto Prabhupada's lectures and you'll find these verses.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Bhaktavinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Thank you for your time and association, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you so much for your beautiful association. So I'll end the class here. We can meet tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sudha Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.